What if I told you that there is a single habit, one small intentional shift in your thinking, that could completely transform your life? Not tomorrow, not next year, instantly. A change so powerful that ancient philosophers believed it could free you from suffering, anxiety, and fear. This isn't a hack. It's not a motivational quote. It's a discipline, a mindset, a way of life practiced for centuries by some of the wisest people who ever lived. And yet, most people today have never heard of it, or worse, they've ignored it. If you're ready to reclaim control, develop unshakable inner peace, and truly master your mind, this one habit from Stoic philosophy might be the key you've been missing. In today's world of endless distractions, overwhelming information, and constant emotional turmoil, it's easy to feel lost. We chase happiness, success, validation, but often end up with more stress, fear, and uncertainty. But what if the solution to this chaos wasn't out there, but within us? What if mastering one simple Stoic habit could shift how you see everything? Your pain, your fears, your ambitions, and even your relationships. This video reveals the one practice that Stoics use to gain freedom, resilience, and clarity, and how it can instantly start transforming your life today. In a time where we obsess over external progress, careers, possessions, goals, we often forget the internal progress that truly defines our experience of life. Ancient Stoics knew this well. They didn't chase fame, power, or luxury. They cultivated the strength of their character, their reason, their perspective. And they did it through habits, small, deliberate practices that reshaped their reactions to life. Among all the Stoic disciplines, one stands above the rest in its transformative power. A single habit, practiced daily, that rewires your mind and reshapes your reality. That habit is the discipline of perception, choosing how you interpret and respond to every event in your life. It may sound simple, but don't let its simplicity fool you. The Stoics believed that control over perception was the cornerstone of wisdom, because between what happens to us and how we respond to it lies our entire freedom. Think about it. You don't control what happens in the world. You don't control other people, traffic, sickness, the economy, or time itself. But what you do control, absolutely and completely, is your judgment about those things, your interpretation, your reaction. And this is where everything changes. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wasn't just philosophical poetry. It was a habit, a training. Every day, the Stoics practiced filtering events through a rational lens. They paused before reacting. They questioned their impulses. They reminded themselves, is this really bad? Or am I just telling myself it is? Imagine waking up to bad news, a job rejection, a failed project, a betrayal. Most people spiral. They fall into anger, despair, anxiety. But the Stoic? The Stoic takes a breath. They observe their own reaction. They remind themselves, this event is external. It does not define me. What defines me is how I respond. And in that moment, instead of losing control, they take it. That's the power of perception. That's the habit we're talking about. And once you truly internalize it, your life will never be the same. Let's make this practical. How does one actually build this habit? It begins with awareness. Every time something bad happens, pause. Don't rush to judgment. Ask, is this thing objectively harmful, or am I just labeling it as such? Is it in my control or not? What opportunity might exist within this problem? Seneca, another great Stoic, taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. In other words, The stories we tell ourselves about what's happening often hurt more than the events themselves. That's why perception is everything. You begin to see setbacks not as curses, but as chances to grow. You view criticism not as an attack, but as an opportunity to sharpen your awareness. You start seeing life not as something happening to you, but something happening for you, molding your character like fire tempers steel. This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. Stoicism isn't blind optimism, it's clarity. It's being brutally honest about what's in your control and letting go of what isn't. You may feel pain, that's natural, but you don't have to be driven by it. You may feel fear, but you don't have to obey it. Perception doesn't erase emotion, it gives you a new relationship to emotion. A higher ground from which you can choose your actions instead of being ruled by impulses. And here's the key. This habit builds with use. The more you practice it, the faster and more instinctive it becomes. At first, you might remember only after you've already reacted poorly. That's okay. Reflect. Learn. Next time, you'll catch it sooner. Eventually, you'll pause before reacting. You'll insert that crucial moment of choice. That's the goal, to make perception your ally, not your enemy. To see with clarity instead of clouded emotion. This is why Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things." He understood that all suffering comes not from reality, but from our interpretation of it. Change your perception, and reality itself begins to change. Consider how this applies in daily life. A rude comment, not a personal attack, just a reflection of someone else's struggles. A delay or failure, not a defeat, but a test of your patience and resilience. A heartbreak, not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter, a deeper understanding of love and loss. When you train your mind to see life through this lens, you become nearly untouchable. Not because bad things stop happening, but because you stop letting them control you. And this is the real transformation. It's not flashy. It's not external. It's internal, invisible, and profound. When you adopt the habit of controlling your perception, you start to develop a sense of peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. You stop chasing constant pleasure and avoiding every pain. You become grounded, anchored, free. It's like stepping out of a storm, not because the storm stopped, but because you found shelter inside yourself. This habit also improves your relationships. When you stop reacting impulsively, you create space for understanding. You become less judgmental, more compassionate. You begin to see others not as enemies or obstacles, but as fellow humans struggling through life in their own way. You become calmer, more present. People feel that energy. They trust you more. They respect you more. Because they sense that you're not ruled by emotion. You're led by reason, by values, by virtue. The Stoics weren't saints. They were soldiers, emperors, slaves, people like you and me, living in a world just as chaotic as ours. What set them apart was their commitment to mastering their minds. And it all began with perception. If you can remember this one habit, to pause, reflect, and reinterpret every event through the lens of reason, you are practicing Stoicism at its core. You're saying, "I refuse to be a puppet to the world's chaos. I will choose my response." Let's not forget, this isn't just philosophy. It's daily life. The next time you face a tough decision, a stressful event, or a painful loss, ask yourself, how would a Stoic perceive this? You might not get it right every time. That's okay. The habit is built through effort, not perfection. Every time you choose to control your perception, you gain a little more freedom. And over time, that freedom becomes your natural state. You begin to walk through the world with a quiet confidence. Not because life is easy, But because you've trained your mind to face it with clarity, you become good, but simply as they are, and responding with wisdom. In a world obsessed with control, the Stoics teach us that the only true control lies within your mind, your judgment, your perception. If you can master that, nothing else can master you. That is the essence of Stoic freedom. And it begins not with reading, not with talking, but with practice. One moment, one thought, one habit at a time. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, angry, or afraid, remember, you are not those feelings. You are not the event. You are the observer, the thinker, the one who chooses how to respond. And in that moment of choice, you hold the power to transform your entire life. If this video sparked something within you, a desire to reclaim your mind, to stop reacting and start responding, to live with the calm strength of the Stoics, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. We have so much more to explore on the path of inner mastery, and I'd love to walk that journey with you. Thank you for watching, and remember, you already have the power. Now choose to use it. Less reactive, more deliberate. Less needy, more fulfilled. Less fearful, more courageous. You stop being a victim of your thoughts and become the master of them. That's the transformation Stoicism offers. Not through magic, not through luck, but through habit, through daily discipline, through choosing to see things not as bad or